now it's time for the news. You ready? Yeah. Good news, bad news, and the other shit, not necessarily in that order. And I can tell you things are really starting to heat up as it revolves around the upcoming 2020 election. It's amazing because my take on it is so different than other people. I think people are not taking into account the fact that even if we proceed into this election, that all the issues surrounding Donald Trump are going to be continuing to soar and swirl about him, no matter what they do for this election. As it turns out, though, the Democrats are forced to be, at least they feel, progressive, and so we'll see. The push is on from the Democratic base, which is actually wanting the Dems to be more aggressive in addressing the president in terms of an impeachment, but also in terms of programming. The issue of calling the Dems socialists doesn't seem to have the same effect as it once did. The term itself does not mean the same to today's group. So as they get together to plan for the future and for the upcoming election, it's amazing some of the things they're discussing. For one, 4 Democratic presidential contenders got together to discuss ways to address the economic problems that plague African Americans. Wow, this is during a Saturday presidential forum which occurred recently. All 4 candidates at the event, which included Pete Buttigieg, Beto O'Rourke, Elizabeth Warren, and Cory Booker of New Jersey, talked up the needs to increase access to capital for minority business owners, as well as other recommendations aimed at increasing opportunities in the black community and trying to tackle the persistent wealth gap that exists. Got to give it up. So this is shaping. At least it's a topic. It's a topic, you all. It continues to be a topic. We got to celebrate that. Donald Trump himself is running around, trying to change the narrative. It's so amazing what they do as they attempt to do it, because they don't attempt to bring any real facts whatsoever. They just sort of just throw the stuff out there and see what sticks, And some of it seems to be sticking. Lately, the president just has fired his polling team because of the numbers. In other words, what happened was the recent numbers that showed that the president was trailing Joe Biden in several key states. In fact, there were other polls that basically showed he would lose to essentially every Democratic candidate. Because of these kinds of news coming out, the president has now fired his pollsters. This removal was reported by the New York Times and NBC News on Sundays. The president decided to cut ties with 3 of his 5 pollsters, and supposedly he's doing this in order to prevent disclosures of their survey data.
You know what? Okay. You know what? I'm not laughing. I'm going to take this serious. If he gets some new pollsters and all the ratings go up, does it change your approach about how you vote?
No, and you make sure you don't hire those pollsters either.
See, I'm not joking, because literally we're supposed to stand in defense of making America great again, right? Are you with that slogan, or are you just more or less going, find a new slogan? You see, if somebody from another country starts talking about America and says,
find a new slogan.
Find a new slogan. There we go. So I'm only saying this because, look, man,
comes in, really simple.
I was really looking at. I thought you were going to go and say, here's the legacy of Sarah Sanders. I thought she was going to jump on that.
What legacy?
Well, but she has one.
Legacy of lies.
Wait, but see,
Goodbye and good riddance to Sarah Sanders, the president's press secretary.
right?
The president continues to lie too, Vic.
So Sarah had nothing to do with it. So
She
so if
was
you-
the lying enabler.
Okay.
She was the champion of lie.
I want to know if somebody could do this. Not for you, Marty. I don't want you to do the work. But if you guys could show me or demonstrate, text me, whatever, the last press secretary who went against their chief and said, no, this is what really happened, and they survived their
Right.
job.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
Right.
That's like shooting your career in the
Right.
head.
Right. So she was in a no-win situation.
Well,
Yeah.
she could have taken a different job.
Thank you.
Well, the president continues to lie. The latest lies concerns this quote-unquote attack on the tanker in the Gulf of Oman. As it turns out, the Trump administration insisted that this was an incident where Iran had attacked the tanker. Let me take a look at the article that one of the ones I was referencing. But supposedly that Iran had attacked this tanker, which was operating in the Gulf. But the ship's operator, which was a Japanese tanker, the ship's operator said that flying objects caused the damage to the vessel rather than mines, as the U.S. has suggested. And he said he really contradicted the whole U.S. narrative. Now, the U.S. released a video that it said showed Iranian Revolutionary Guard removing what was likely an unexploded mine, and then said that this was proof. You know, all of this stuff is really weird, but as it turns out, we say Iran attacked the ship.
Right.
The Iranians say they didn't. The people who own the ship say they didn't. And the countries of the ship origin, they've launched no diplomatic missions. So what is it?
You hit the nail on the head, because every time they said tanker, I kept asking which country. Then, of course, I learned Japan, and they're somewhat silent. So
They're silent. They said they have no qualms with the Iranians. In fact, they're not saying anything about anybody. Because it looked, so my question I had to do with the concept of the agent provocateur, French term. It really means provoking agent. Supposedly, there are instances that people cite, like Hitler, when he invaded Poland, lined up a bunch of Jewish prisoners, and then called them soldiers and attacked.
Right.
And you do incidents, and many people say that this is an incident of the agent provocateur, where the U.S. was trying to provoke the Iranians into some type of military action, because Trump would do even this in order to bolster his standings.
Yep.
So this is part of the fear, which is why they need to proceed with things to me. But Nancy Pelosi still holds out, and I do defer to her like many others. But this is the question. So, is the Trump administration lying this time about an international incident? Wow.
Hey, look. Okay. See, so I'm gonna say this. I'm late on this. I watched the Rosenberg thing that happened in the 50s.
Oh, yeah.
And learning what happened afterwards, where the wife basically got thrown to the wolves, and all the documentation was that she was completely innocent. But the arrangement was that how this coordination took place. I said, oh, so we roll like that, huh? I literally was stopping and going, brother turned on her. They knew he was lying and still executed her. And I said this. So if you guys want to get into the Rosenberg story, you can. I'm late on it. I'm sorry. That blew me away.
Well, these are examples where administrators do things that they want to do for dubious reasons.
Yeah.
And so it is. So this is the latest one, and it's one that will be followed. On a lighter note, we say it's the good news, the bad news, and the other shit. On a lighter note, the issue is scooters.
Oh, yeah.
As it turns out, I have now decided to enter LA's grand scooter experiment. That's because I'm walking worth a damn anyway. So, but
Just not
it's
like-
gonna be. So let me explain to you what's going on. Many of you have seen the whole scooter thing happening around the country, rolling out in your city, perhaps, where all of a sudden, one day, someone dumps thousands of scooters onto the street. As it turns out, here in L.A., I believe it was 3 or 4 operators. Was it 3? Bird, Lime, Lyft, and then Uber. Right, it was 4.
Right.
Each had been permitted to drop thousands. I mean, at least, and they were trying to hold them down to like 3,000. So you can imagine how many thousands. They literally put out thousands, tens of thousands of electric scooters and bikes on the sidewalks across L.A. Can you imagine that? Tens of thousands of scooters were deposited on the sidewalks across L.A. And similar programs were underway in Long Beach, Santa Monica. So now I was trying to understand what was going on because the first thing I had was the reaction of like a lot of people, like, what is this crap? Because they're laying around everywhere. But part of that has to do with the societal adjustment to scooters. I went to go look at and read, and it found out that this is a worldwide trend. The worldwide trend in scooters because it saves energy. This is usually electric vehicles, and they're good in the cities. And what you're finding in other cities, they've actually incorporated this type of planning into the city. So they have bike paths and scooter paths that are going all around the city. And they have parking spots all around the city where you put the scooter.
Yep.
Also nowadays, help in LA, there's something that's been added to the app that at the end of the scooter rental, you have to take a picture of the scooter in a parking spot.
Right.
Or else you get fined or something. So now they're working with that so they're not just laying around all over the street. But it turns out they're still getting some complaints, but not so bad. Supposedly about 133 complaints a day, about 5 an hour. But this is tens of thousands of scooters. Well, this is part of it's a 1 year, I went on to read, you guys, a 1 year dockless mobility program. Wow, it actually will include up to 8 companies. So it's a lot of money in this, okay?
Yeah.
There's a lot of money in this. And scooters everywhere.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. I'm kind of shocked that you didn't see them laying about up here in our neighborhood because the first question I got into is somebody has decided to go downhill.
They don't lay them in the ghetto. They don't have them in the ghetto, I don't think. Have you been seeing them in the ghetto?
More than you know.
More than you know?
More than you know.
Okay.
I'm saying the part
Okay,
that
Vic says they got them in the ghetto.
Hey, literally.
We may not be in the ghetto, but we can see the fence.
While I'm biking, you just feel it. Especially, of course, around the university, it's obvious. What I'm shocked about is in our neighborhood, which is considered an older neighborhood, but it's getting younger, though. It's getting younger. So Mario has what they call, you know how you have those 4K and everybody's shooting in 4K and then bumping up to 6K? Mario has a scooter that has 150 horsepower, 0 to 40 in 2 seconds. Man, I can't wait to
I
see
ain't
you.
doing 40 on a scooter if you paid me. But let me tell you what I did do.
What?
So, in effort to get into this, I went on and invested in scooter. Now, let's talk about the first scooter. This is the Mototech by Mad right here. Let me see. There it is. The Mototech by Mad with the wide tires and the seat. 1,600 watts or volts. I don't know.
Yeah, the electric power.
But anyway, I should know better my science on that. But the main thing is this one I can sit on. It's one of the latest ones. And I'm going to use it around the neighborhood. I'm not really interested in going around the city on it. But you never know what kind of adventures we might take on the bike path. I actually then had decided, knowing full well that in the relationship I'm in, that if I get one, there better be one for the little woman. So I got her this other one so she can stand on hers. We got to keep them exercising, you know. Yeah, I'm working her out. So she can stand on this one. It has lights. This is the Segway E4. Got a lot of write-up on this. They do one of the versions that's out there that being used in the city. But this bad boy has really like a lot of mileage and capability. I think it goes like 17 miles, 18 miles.
Right.
And so we're going to have both of these. They're coming this week.
Wonder if your girl says, you know, I want the one at the top. You can have the one at the bottom. Will you swap?
That's when you tell them, let's talk about boundaries.
See, already. So there's no swapping.
Let's
in this
talk
game.
about boundaries.
You had no
You
choice.
know, I bought you a scooter, damn it. Why you got to have the same scooter as me? You don't want to be sitting down.
She said,
You don't want to be sitting
so
down. I got her the lightweight one for the beautiful women that's more girly. Look at this thing, all macho and
You
who
know
wants
what?
that?
You doing a
That's
good.
all macho and
doing a
all
good job,
aggressive.
man.
And who wants to ride on this masculine-looking scooter when you can ride on this scooter right here, which is so feminine? and
You
lovely.
know what?
This scooter right here.
Which one costs more?
The other one, the big macho masculine one with the fat, ugly wheels.
You know what?
That one costs more.
You could try.
But you know what, you guys? They got scooters for around $300 or something. So you in L.A., you ride them everywhere you could ride a bike, as long as your scooter fits the regulations, which have to do with the power.
Yeah.
So you can't have so much power, but you can ride in the bike lanes. You have to be able to park it. If you're under 18, you have to wear a helmet. But it's wonderful. It's wonderful. So I got them coming. It's illegal to wear headphones on both ears. You got to keep at least one ear open. But I want you to know that scooters are coming to LA. Now, as part of this, Vic, I looked up some of the best bike path tours. Mm-hmm. So, you know, Vic bikes. So while he bikes using real human power, I'll be scooting using electric power.
And let me say this.
Give it up.
I think people. I got a different respect for people who are on motorized, equipment with wheels. I have a different respect for them. What I'm trying to think of is we're training our communities now to get used to knowing how to drive along with them, because the biggest issue, I was saying this the other night to somebody, saying, I can't worry about if I get it. There's no protection. I'm going to take the full brunt.
Oh, man, get a good helmet.
Hey, man, the rest of the body is already exposed. But you now start thinking about, please don't be texting while you're near me.
Oh, God.
That's the first thing I always think about when I'm out there biking, man. But I do believe this is going to change the community because you get used to it. And you've seen the streets, where is it? I don't know if it's in Japan or Beijing or wherever, where, I mean, the main traffic and the bicyclists and motorists, I mean, they're just all...
Oh, yeah, other cultures have adapted already.
so well, man.
It's like in Vietnam.
Yeah,
You know,
very
like
well.
when you see Hanoi, you know, Ho Chi Minh City, the former, you can now see the cars. And I'm not up for that. Let me be clear. Right. I'm not up for merging in the traffic. I want to be on a bike path. If anybody hits me, it's another scooter or a bicycle. Right. You know, where I'm the most dangerous person out there. So I'm saying I'm not trying to merge in L.A. traffic on no damn scooter.
Yeah.
But you never know. Shit happens.
Yeah.
But I want to basically stick to the bike path. Vic has convinced me that he is extremely knowledgeable of the bike paths here and around the View Park neighborhood.
Yes.
Around, so
there are no white lines for us. I'm just letting you know.
So there it is.
Yeah. There are places.
Pray for me.
Right. There are places where I was telling Mario, bike path, bike lane, and it said you look it up, and he says, "Oh, what it's saying is this is a bike path. Drivers beware of cyclists." There's no actual lines. They're just kind of letting you know. No. You don't want to be there, bro. You don't.
Good news, bad news, and other shit. Ladies and gentlemen, there it is.